We finally made it to the poker class. This is the one that handles all of the gameplay of our Texas Hold'em application. It uses all of the previous classes. It manages, whose turn it is, the amount of money in the pot, switches the player, updates the hand. All of that stuff happens in this class. So I'm gonna not be able to go into too much of great detail. It is 200 lines of code. There are 20 plus methods. So it will be up to you to kind of figure out what exactly is happening, but I do want to give you a high level view. All right, so the first thing to notice is that there are 20 plus methods. So I've broken down every individual task into a method as well as I could, and that should help be able to understand what is happening just by focusing on one method at a time. All right, so let's see if we can go through this. And to see what's happening. So we have an init method. So we are initializing it with a computer and a human. So these need to be initialized before. So you'll see that once we begin the game. We're going to say there are no hands when we start playing. We're going to initialize a deck like this. And then finally, we will actually call the play method. So the play method it's not too long. It fits on one screen. And this is sort of the overall logic for the game. So let's make sure we can understand this, and then hopefully if you understand this, you can understand the rest. So it will continue to play until somebody runs out of money. So while both players have positive amounts of money, it will begin. It will deal the hands. There's a deal method down here. We'll cover that one. A little print. And then, this while loop, which goes down to here, controls one round in a hand. So this is one, each iteration of this is one round in a hand. So when it goes back to the top of the loop, it's on to the next round. Now this next while loop, so this does all of the actions of one round. So we continue to run this until both players have played, right? So that's both players need to have acted. Once both have acted, then we move on to the next round. Now, if there's a raise, what happens is that then the other player is marked as not acted anymore, so they still have to act in order for this loop to exit. Now, this is while true, so this is always true. So what happens is it will break if we're at the round 4, so we're done with the river, or that's just done with all of the rounds, or somebody has folded, and then we will force a break. So that's how this iteration ends. All right, so let's see what happens during each player. This is one player's turn. So what happened, the first thing is that we get all the possible choices. Can the player fold? Can they check? Can they call? Can they bet? Can they raise? What is it? Then we get the player choice. Okay, so we get that. Whether it's, so right now for the computer, it's random. For the human, it's via input from the keyboard. So we get that choice, and then we use that choice to update the hand, right? So did the player raise? Did they call? Did they fold? We update the hand, and then we keep going. So if both players have played, then we move on to the next round. Now, if there's a fold or we're at the end of round 4, then we just break out of there and we just go to the showdown or just move on to the next hand. But if we're moving on to the next round, then we just call this method, which implements or increments the round and just resets all the bets and shows the next community cards, whether it's the flop, the turn, or the river. All right. Now, if we've reached showdown, that means we've broken out of here, or if we folded, so that this is the end of the hand, then we just determine the winner. So we call that method to determine the winner. Okay. And then it just starts all over again. And it deals and it prints out some message to start the round, and it just starts over and over again. So this is the high level logic that controls it. Now, let me just scroll down to show you that there is quite a lot of code under here that is kind of running the entire show. So let me just cover a few of the methods, not all of them. So here we go. So the first thing that happens whenever we start a new hand is that we deal. So we call the deal method. We increase the hand by 1. We set the round back to 1. So this resets all the data, right? So we're starting a brand new hand. We set the bet size to be the big blind. We shuffle the deck. We set who is the dealer. We set who's the current player, like whose turn it is. we make sure we reset the actions that nobody has played. That's what this means. Like, so both the has played are false. We actually deal the cards and then we set the blind. So hopefully these names tell you it's like what you would do in real life, right? So you just follow them and hopefully that makes sense. Then we print out some message to the board to update everybody. So that's how you can understand what's happening here. So you start with the play method and then you kind of follow the method. So it calls the deal method. You look at the deal method. The deal method calls all of these methods, which are further down here, like set dealer, set current player. It's all in order: dealer, current player, reset actions, deal cards, set blind. So they're all in order. And then you just kind of read what those methods are doing. And that's what happens during the deal method. So once that's done, you go back up here, you see what this one does, and then you go over here and see, all right, how do I get the choices? We call that method. How are the choices made? We've already covered that. This is actually from the human or the computer class. So we're accessing that instance right here. And then, the next thing is that the hand updates. So you go down here and read about the update hand method and so forth. And finally, increment round, and finally determine winner. So the play method is your starting point, and you just follow all the methods that it calls in order to understand what's happening with the rest of the class. All right, so that is your high-level view of the poker class, and hopefully that'll get you started with understanding it, and eventually you can go through line by line and get a better idea of what exactly is happening.